for some peace of mind, but TikTok said a gator drove a Jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat, and someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Karen's got a taser in the checkout line, and Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. Oh, I'm just sitting here scrolling my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah, when it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave. I'm just
Good morning, everyone. I am back, and my eyes are really blurry this morning. Thank you, CRPS. I love you so much. You just keep bringing new, wonderful things into my life, sweetheart. That being said, we'll see how this whole news thing goes where it's operatively reading. So it might be a story time because I do have one for you guys. So hopefully we get that done at least. Welcome everyone to your headlines, true crimes, and well, all of the absurd to keep us from going crazy. Your newsy news stop in the morning. I hope you are all doing well, and let's see how reading goes this morning. This is gonna be a crapshoot, you guys. Let's check it out. Unfortunately, we have two passings that we need to talk about this morning. The first one is that we lost Ron Dean, who acted in both Risky Business and Breakfast Club, at 87 after a long illness. Ron Dean, best known for his roles in Risky Business and The Breakfast Club, has passed away. He was 87. Now, the actor died in a Chicago hospital on Sunday, October the 5th, with his partner, Maggie Neff, according to TMZ, which I still don't know if we should actually be listening to TMZ after they're just absolute butt monkeys about the whole Charlie Kirk thing. Like, I get if you don't like Charlie Kirk, but to actually cheer and we have receipts, like, ick. That being said, that's my only aside for TMZ. I just think they're trashy. Now, the cause of his death is going to be unclear. It does seem like he was suffering from a long illness but obviously the coroner has to look through things and things like that. His loved ones said that he passed exactly at 4 p.m. after his beloved sisters had said their goodbyes. He hung on like a warrior to say goodbye to his little sisters. Then we were alone, and in my arms, I held his hand, and he trusted me when I told him it was all right to let go. What an honor. So that's what his partner said. Now, Dean often played roles as law enforcement characters, although his lengthy, career in acting, one of his earliest roles was the detective in 1983's Risky Business alongside Tom Cruise. And he went on to appear in Mission Impossible and star in two other films, including Color of Money and Cocktail with Tom Cruise. He is a honorary Scientologist after that much contact with Tom Cruise, I think. He needs to... And thank you so much, Granny Smith, for your weekly appreciation. I feel like, okay, we're going directly into story time because I feel dead awful about this, and I must professional. I must relieve my sins about this. I feel so terrible. So in my house, and thank you, Granny Smith, when I can find my tickets because I'm moving everything again. Actually, my husband cleaned and I don't know where he put anything. So I need to find those. I feel terrible. My husband and my boys, Look, I don't know how your family works, but for my family, we have budgets for Christmas, and the kids have always kind of known what their budgets are. And so we, talked to all the little, feral boy children, and they decided to pool their budget to get a new Nintendo thingamajigger. Like, I don't know what it is. I think it's the Switchy thing, but we already have a Switchy thing, but apparently there's a new Switchy thing. I don't know. Anywho, it's usually my job in our family to scope out Prime days. And I have just been nothing but a ball of chaos this year as far as keeping dates. So for some reason, I had it in my mind that it was the 9th and the 10th, and I realized we missed it, and I feel awful because Mr. Mo was like, it says it's Prime Day, and that was yesterday. And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure Prime Day is the 9th and the 10th. So we finally come to the conclusion that Mr. Mo and I are going to start writing days down. I can actually sort of tilt my we'll do a walking tour of my room. Well, sort of a standing tour, since I have yet to get into actually showing you guys around. And I'm extra squirrely today. Pay no mind to me. I must have had too much caffeine, if I'm honest. Or I'm just feeling a little better and now I have energy. Aha. Alrighty. This is supposed to be a standing sit down desk, as you can tell. And my mic is on a stand, sort of. And push back the chair. Ta-da! Okay, let me see if I can get this figured out, because I really didn't plan to stand up today. But I wanted to show you guys. I know this is like this is like, so as you can see, my display area needs Jesus at this point. But one of my vanities, not the one that actually worked out, is going to be my new craft desk. It's got my chalkboard and everything, so I can write things down, in theory. And in theory, when I'm feeling good, I'll be able to stand up and you guys can see the bar. It's actually a bar compilation thingy-mabobber. I don't know. It's supposed to go into a bar. Anywho, I totally messed up Prime Day, so I feel so bad because Mr. Mo was like stocking some games for the boys and little controller dealies. I don't know. It's all Greek to me. That being said, it's getting there. I struggle with organization. Y'all know I am a chaos demon in human clothing, so I get stuck because I'm like, oh, I have all these little small widgets and I want to get this nice display thing for these small widgets and can't ignore the entire pile of chaos as I'm dealing with the small widgets. So Mr. Mo is constantly like, can you just focus on something? And I'm like, not really, ever. No, no, I can't. I was like, have you met me? Are you a new hire? And then it's back to no energy again. I swear to goodness, if someone can explain to me where my hormones and body got like all of the confusion about where we're supposed to be in the world, that would be awesome. I am so tired of, you have a lot of energy starting at 3 a.m. And then by 10 a.m. you're like, are we done with today yet? I cannot figure out my body to save my life. Not that I think anyone can, because Lord knows I've seen enough doctors about the whole damn thing. Yeah, energy, what's that? So that's kind of what Mr. Mo has been dealing with. So we are setting up the chalkboard so I can, because y'all, I couldn't even remember the new email he set up for me. I've in fact been putting the wrong email. I got it right on my website or on the YouTube thing, but I got it hilariously wrong everywhere else. He's like, how do you forget your own email name? And I was like, I don't know, but I am able to do it with alacrity. I can remember to use the words like alacrity, but can't remember what day today is. It is the weird world of living with Mo. So that is one. So after all that tangenting, I just felt bad because And then I was like, oh, well, we still have Black Friday. So hopefully, Nintendo Switch thingies will be on sale and that will be good because I feel like the most craptastic mom today because that has been my bailiwick. Like, you guys, not that like it's ever happened since y'all have known me, but I used to be like the mom that had all of her Christmas like buying and wrapping mostly done by Thanksgiving. Like I had totes for everyone. Like I used to be that mom. I used to have like pre-written thank you notes that they just had to sign. Now, I don't know where she's gone. She must have been on sabbatical for like the last 5 years because she, bitch, left, didn't even leave a forwarding address. That's all I got to say about that. She just left, like no notice, nothing. She was just like, I'm out. She's like, heifers, goodbye. Like I tell people on Lord Chippy. She's just like, bon voyage, bitch burrito. I'm out. So Taipei Mo is still there, and she makes her appearance through anxiety of all the things that Chaos Mo has out. And Mr. Mo is just like, what is going on here? And then, okay, we're just full on in story time at this point. Like, we have given up on the news today. And honestly, I've pulled all the stories. Y'all, we aren't missing a whole hell of a lot. I mean, no one's exploderated anything, which, gosh darn it, this last 3 weeks of doing news has just been like ball sack. No offense, and I don't mean to denigrate anyone who's lost their lives or anything, but some days it is hard bringing y'all the news because there is just not a lot to be laughy or funny about. And I swear, it's just, one of those things where we're not missing a whole heck of a lot. I will try to sprinkle in some headlines, but, sometimes we just need a day. So that's why we usually do Fridays, just because of that. But what was I going to say? Oh, and can I tell you that this thing is about as comfortable as having a big old, well, sticker on your boob. Like, it's not, of all the first world things to bitch about, like having an uncomfortable chesticular area because of the technology to make sure your heart's doing okay is one of the biggest things you shouldn't really be, all that pissed off about. But it's just, I can't sleep and I just feel it's not a big deal, but it's just like, oh, and then I'm supposed to be writing in a journal with this thing when I feel my heart doing that skippity pop thing, but I can never remember. So I have it on my notebook on my phone. Like I said, you guys, don't ever measure your life compared to me. I am a hot mess mom. Y'all just see like the good part where I've woken up and pretended to put on my face and like, did stuff. So there you go. That being said, let's try to get some of the news in. Hopefully, this gentleman, his family, I don't remember Ron Dean. I didn't watch a lot of movies and things like that with him. I might have seen him in passing, but I hope his fans can watch his movies and remember him, and his family members get the love and support that they need during this time. Yeah, I have started taking more vitamins, so hopefully that'll work. They are the gummy kind because Mo is 5 in her heart. And unfortunately, or I guess finally, for her eternal rest and somewhat unfortunate life with who her husband was, Joan Kennedy, the first wife of Ted Kennedy and last survivor of Camelot, has passed away at 89. I mean, now, Joan Bennett Kennedy, the first wife of Senator Kennedy, died early in the morning on October 8th. People can confirm. Now, Go Local published an obituary announcing the news, revealing that she had died peacefully in her sleep at Boston, in her home. Now, Joan was a talented classical pianist with her master's degree in education and divorced Ted in 1983. but continued to be known as the long-suffering wife of the youngest Kennedy son, to whom she was married for 22 years. And it really is sad that all of her accomplishments are kind of overshadowed by her doofusy husband. That being said, she was born in New York City on September 2nd, 1936, raised in the suburbs by a Roman Catholic family. She met Ted in 1957 when his older sister, Jean Kennedy, introduced them. Now, both Jean and Joan were students at Manhattanville College. Within the year, the two were engaged. Though Joan and Ted expressed reservations about getting married, Ted's father was kind of for it. So, again, it does seem sad that she's most known for, who her husband was. I do hope that her children get to mourn her family, and everything like that. And they get to have private celebrations of her life rather than, what this article is going to go into, her failings and all of this and what have you. She deserves to be respected and honored by her family, and hopefully they can give her that. And I hope she is in a better place now where she doesn't have to deal with everyone and the crazy, Camelot legacy. I don't get it. My grandma was into the Kennedys. We had, I joke you not, like it was like the Pope, Jesus, and the Kennedys, okay? So we were that kind of Roman Catholics. That being said, I hope she gets peace and comfort and not having to deal with all of this. Now, there is some big news. I know it probably broke yesterday, but this has been confirmed now that prosecutors are accusing this gentleman of setting the Palisades fire. Then typing this chilling question into ChatGPT. Now, I do want to get into this more. I do think that this is a case worth following, especially with how absolutely destructive this fire was, and everyone saw it on TV. So I do want to get into this, but life, the cases will still be there if I have to wait. An Uber driver is accused of setting a blaze in January that eventually turned into the Palisades Fire, one of the deadliest and most destructive wildfires in California's history. Jonathan Reinderknecht, look, something German, of Melbourne, Florida, was arrested Tuesday, October 7th, and charged with the destruction of properties by means of a fire, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California said in a press release. Now, he is expected to was expected to make his initial court appearance yesterday in Orlando, Florida. Now, following a 9-month investigation, investigators determined that the Palisades fire was a quote-unquote holdover fire, meaning it was a continuation of a fire known as the Lockman Fire that began on New Year's Day, 2025, according to a federal complaint that was obtained by People. Although firefighters quickly suppressed the Lockman fire, unbeknownst to anyone, the fire continued to smolder and burn underground within the root structure of the dense vegetation. Now, the Palisades fire, which started on January 7th and went on to claim the lives of 12 people and burn over 23,000 acres, according to a report from California's Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, authorities said that heavy winds caused the underground fire to surface and spread above ground. And we will all have to wait. I'm not a fire expertologist, so I don't know if this is even possible, but this part of me is wondering, and this is just Mo's, tinfoil hat. Are they trying to pin this on this man to make, excuses and look away from the absolute kind of neglect that BLM, the Bureau of Land Management, and California's Forestry Department, without clearing that dead growth, are they trying to find a scapegoat? I mean, I'm sure that they have evidence that he started the other fire, but I've never heard of fire burning underground. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I've never heard of it. So I would like to see the court documents, and the state has to prove its case. Now, investigators allege that the suspect once lived in Pacific Palisades and used an open flame, likely a lighter, to set fire to combustible materials such as vegetation or paper just after midnight on January the 1st. Now, he was working as an Uber driver the night before and dropped off two separate passengers in the area. Now, those passengers allegedly told investigators that they remember that the suspect appeared both agitated and angry. He's driving Uber. I mean, who wouldn't be? People are weird. I mean, look, I'm just trying to think about this like a defense attorney, and you're driving Uber, it's way in midnight, people are probably drunk. I wouldn't be the most happy and personable. Now, per the complaint, the suspect allegedly called 911 several times but couldn't get through because his iPhone was out of cell range. And when he finally connected with 911, he was at the bottom. Oh, well, he was at the bottom near the fire. Okay, never mind. I take that back. That's a defense attorney saying, "We'll guard your constitutional rights, but you're guilty, son." Like, pretty much. So he was right there at the fire. Now, by that point, and J.K.D. Buck says, "Roots underground will burn like crazy." I did not know that. Then why are my neighbors always burning their stumps? That can't be good. I'm going to have to yell at them. Or not yell at them, send Mr. Moe over. I've heard of Centralia. I just never heard of roots. I suppose it's possible. I just never thought of it. Oh, and Alice G, you guys, if we could, keep her in our thoughts because she is going in for major surgery tomorrow. Absolutely, we can. I know it's what it's like to be nervous and going in for stuff. So good luck, and I hope everything comes out. Now, at one point during the complaint, investigators claimed that the suspect asked ChatGPT, "Are you at fault if a fire is lit because of your cigarettes?" Yeah, yeah. Now, the chat AI bot responded with yes and an explanation. However, smoking along with fireworks, lightning, and power lines were ruled out as possible causes by the investigator per the complaint. Now, he allegedly then fled in his car, passing fire engines driving the opposite direction. He turned around and followed the fire engines to the scene. Now, the complaint stated that he walked up to the same trail from earlier that night to watch the fire and firefighters and took videos of the scenes. Now, authorities also said in the complaint that he was listening to a French rap song called Un Zunder un Thie by Jossman at the time, a song he had repeatedly listened to the day prior. And the video shows things being set on fire. Okay, this is the old video games made him do it thing. I mean, I guess, I don't look at it that deep. He probably was always fascinated with fire. I don't think a rap video did it just as much as, watching Madonna's, prayer, like a prayer, didn't make me, become a priest. Okay. That being said, it does look like they have enough to link him to the Lockman fire. And if they can show that the roots were part of the Pacific Palisades fire, he could be looking at a minimum sentence of 5 years in federal prison or a maximum of 20 years in federal prison. So this is going to be a federal case, which means we will not get any streaming about it, but it is one to watch as the documents come out. Now, unless you have been under a rock, and I know that Israel and Palestine, everyone has thoughts. I am not smart enough to have any thoughts. I don't know enough about it, but this is big history. It looks like a peace deal has been signed between Hamas and Israel, or Palestine and Israel, however you want to call it. Look, I'm not here to start a fight. Now, it does look like Israeli hostages could be home to their loved ones by Monday if all things go well. I mean, it still is the Mesopotamia, okay? So in theory, if phase one of the peace, treaty is actually followed, it does look like the hostages will be released on Monday. Now, it does seem like, there are a lot of things that could happen. I haven't studied it in depth enough to give you any more than that, but it is a big thing that is happening. Regardless of where you stand on this, having more peace rather than, more fighting is always better in my book, but it's tentative. It's tentative, and, I don't know anything more than that. Now, this is a case that I do think is one that's going to be a big one coming up after the investigation and when they find people for this, but this is one to keep your eye on coming up. 4 people, including 2 children, were found dead inside a $2 million California home, and cops are probing the suspicious deaths. Now, 4 people, including 2 children, were found dead inside an estimated $2 million San Francisco home, and police said that they continue to investigate what they labeled as suspicious deaths. Now, the gruesome scene was discovered just before 1:30 p.m. on Wednesday when officers conducted a welfare check on the Monterey Boulevard house in the affluent Westwood Highlands neighborhood. Now, the 4 victims were believed to be family members who lived in the home and were pronounced dead at the scene. Now, the family had 2 daughters, one around 12 to 13 years old. There was no noise, nothing. I think it was the most disturbing part because we didn't hear anything, nothing. We knew the family was a family of 4 with 2 girls. One of the neighbors said it was a very normal family with a very normal family routine. Now, the devastated next door neighbor said the family kept to themselves, but appeared to enjoy a loving family life 7 miles southeast of the city center. We heard them more than we saw them. It was just normal family life, like kids in the garden trying to get the dog inside or having barbecue for summer nights. It was just like us. I don't have any words right now. We're all in shock, and it's a tragedy. We're just thinking about the family and processing the information right now. Now, officials described the death as suspicious and handed the investigation over to the San Francisco Department Homicide Detail. Now, the police haven't ruled out a suspect in the deaths, but called it an isolated incident with no further threat to the public. That's a possibility, and we're not confirming any of this at this time, but it is a possibility of this incident. Now, that's all that they're releasing right now. I am sure after the initial sort of investigation, I don't know why we spent so much time talking about their daggone house, but there you go. Apparently, I don't know, but this is one that is looking a little bit hinky and might be one that we look at later when it comes closer to a trial if they're able to find a suspect. Well, they finally captured one more of the inmates that snuck out of a New Orleans jail after 5 months. A 5-month manhunt for Derek Groves, the last of 10 inmates who escaped from a New Orleans jail mid-May, ended Wednesday afternoon after a tip left federal law enforcement to a crawl space in an Atlanta home. Now, Deputy U.S. Marshal Brian Fair of the Eastern District of Louisiana told CBS News that Groves, convicted in 2018 of a double murder, was arrested shortly after 2 p.m. following a coordinated operation between the U.S. Marshals Southeast Fugitive Task Force and the Atlanta Police Department SWAT team. I kind of hope so. That would be amazing. He is the last inmate to be found, Debbie. Now, the arrest stemmed from a Crime Stoppers Greater New Orleans tip received earlier this summer that pointed investigators toward the Atlanta area. Now, Fair declined to specifically name where the tip came in, citing safety concerns and the need to keep the informant safe. We've been receiving tips all summer, he said. I don't want to get somebody hurt or anything. We're not putting the exact time frame on when the tip came in. Now, after weeks of follow-up work, the marshals in Louisiana pushed out a lead to counterparts in Georgia. Officers executed a search warrant on a home in the Atlanta area where investigators believed that Groves might have been staying. Fair said it was possibly a rental home, but added there's a lot of follow-up work that needs to be done to answer all those questions. Now, at first, it appeared that the house was empty. Normally, during our fugitive work, we at least have some signs that the person's at the home, movement, running, something, and that didn't happen. Investigators deployed gas into the home multiple times, including the basement, before discovering that Groves was hiding inside a narrow crawl space. We didn't have any concerns, or we did have concerns that maybe he wasn't in the house, but ultimately they found him hiding in a crawl space. I believe that crawl space was in the basement, and he had put some thought and work into the hiding space he was in. Fair said that Groves appeared to be in for the long haul and may have reinforced the space himself. He was taken into custody without injury and no weapons were discovered at the scene, though further search of the residence is now under the way. So they might find different things. Now, authorities are still trying to figure out how Groves traveled from New Orleans to Atlanta and whether he received any assistance and how long he had been in Georgia. I'd probably guess he traveled by car, but we don't know, and that's going to be part of the follow-up work that's going on now that he's in custody. Now, Fair said Groves is believed to be the ringleader in the May 16th break from Orleans Parish Justice Center, in which inmates pulled a jail cell door off its tracks, removed a toilet from an empty cell, and crawled through a hole in the wall before scaling the fence. Now, the brazen escape exposed design flaws and security failures in the 10-year-old jail. At least that's what Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hudson told, CBS earlier this year. Yeah, if 10 people can escape your jail, that might have some security issues. All 10 escapees have now been captured, and the U.S. Marshal credited a coalition of agencies, including the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office, the New Orleans Police Department, Louisiana State Police, and Homeland Investigations, along with the FBI and Atlanta Police for their roles in bringing everyone in. Fair also credited media coverage and public engagement to keep the attention focused on the case. He was bombarded on the news for months on end, Fair said. The media was a huge part of this capture. It kept him on the run and probably tired all summer. Now, jail records in Fulton County, Georgia showed that Groves was booked on fugitive from justice charges. He's being extradited to Louisiana, where he'll face additional charges related to the escape, and said that Louisiana police were likely to do the transfer. So, honestly, he's going to get more jail and he's going to spend more time to probably try to figure out how to that's kind of what I figured. But it's good to know that the people in the surrounding areas won't be afraid. Yeah, that's if he survives Fulton jail. I mean, it's crazy, y'all. I thought I said to keep Kiss safe. They're not, my band, like my favoriteest band, but I thought we reminded, the Grim Reaper to the guy from Final Destination to keep his hands off of Dolly Parton, anyone from Kiss, and Reba McEntire. I'm pretty sure, I think Cher has her own separate deal with the Reaper, so I'm not worried about her right now. But Kiss legend Gene Simmons, 76, was hospitalized after a scary car crash in Malibu. Gene Simmons won't be able to rock and roll all night, at least for a little while. The Kiss legend was reportedly hospitalized after a car crash in Malibu, California on Tuesday, October the 7th. Now, although Simmons, 76, is now said to be recovering at home following the scary incident, the Beth rocker had either passed out or fainted while behind the wheel of his SUV and collided with a parked car on the Pacific Coast Highway, per the outlet. There is that weird thing where people around you that you respect, that you love, maybe are getting to a place where they're not as safe to drive, and how to navigate that conversation without being, a butt monkey, but also keeping everyone and your loved ones safe. Those are not easy conversations to have. But if he's not safe behind the wheel, he doesn't need to be driving. And that's with love and respect. But that's how it is. Now, a spokesperson for the Malibu's Lost Hills Sheriff's Station told the Post that there was an accident matching the description of the Kiss bassist crash. However, they did not identify the driver involved. Now, the spokesperson added that the accident happened, shortly before 1 p.m. on a Tuesday and involved a black Lincoln Navigator that struck a parked vehicle. And the driver might have suffered a medical emergency before the crash and was then transported to the local hospital to receive medical treatment. So hopefully he is doing fine, and, he will take good care of himself and, maybe get whatever is, taking whatever caused him to pass out looked at. Look, I'm having to do it, Mr. Simmons. You can do it too. Look, when you pass out, you're not going to be good to drive. It's just kind of one of those things that you kind of have to give up. It sucks all the donkey to, not trust yourself to drive, but just make good choices with that. Don't let your pride mean that you're putting other people in danger. At least that's what I've had to tell myself, because for the last week, I didn't let myself drive. I finally felt better yesterday, and that was after 2 days of feeling pretty much a little bit better. So I felt good, to drive yesterday. But the week before, I was in no way in a condition to drive, and I wouldn't have trusted myself to drive. So I didn't. I had Mr. Mo do it. Now, y'all, I don't know who told this man that this was probably not a good idea, but apparently his wife was on vacation, or the other part of his brain. A man has been arrested on terror charges over a disturbing Halloween display of fake body bags with town official titles on them. Tell us how you really think, sir. Yeah, you didn't think anyone was going to have a problem with the, noose and body bags with certain people's, titles on them? A Kentucky man has been arrested after disturbing residents with a Halloween display this year showing body bags labeled with the titles of local government officials. Now, Stephen, I guess, Markham, 58, of Stanton was arrested Saturday and charged with terroristic threats after a local prosecutor reported the display to authorities. Now, the grim scene set up outside of Markham's home on Court Street featured several plastic body bags trash bags shaped like corpses, each tagged with names or positions of city leaders. Yeah, this is how you get yourself in trouble. Now, shocked residents and community leaders said it looked less like a Halloween prank and more like a direct threat. This isn't something you'd see every day, said Powell County Judge Executive Eddie Barnes, adding he was stunned when he saw the display for himself. At first, I didn't know what to think about it because I actually drove by and saw it in his yard and thought, wow, that's kind of harsh. Now, Barnes, who says he's known Markham for decades, described him as someone who can, quote, be a good person, but he completely disagrees with how he chooses to express himself. Now, according to police, the fake decorations were seized and taken to the Kentucky State Police Post 8 in Moorhead for evidence. Now, Markham is being held at the Powell County Detention Center on a $5,000 bail. Well, yeah, you don't do that in a small town. Now, Stephen Voss, an associate professor of political science at the University of Kentucky, told a local radio station that while Americans have broad protections under the First Amendment, threats are not one of them. If you're actively threatening someone in a terrorizing way, that may not be covered by a general right to free expression. Now, Voss told another local news station, apparently he was the only political science guy they could find. They're like, this is Kentucky. You're going to have to talk to all the local media because we don't know what's going on. He is saying that, with rising political tensions and things like that, the public are far less tolerant of violent imagery. We're seeing less tolerant for violent communication or violent imagery because it seems to be carrying a greater risk that people will enact it or carry it out. A display or statement that might have been taken as tongue-in-cheek or almost a joke in a less polarized, nation might not be seen as funny or innocent, Yeah, read the room, you ridiculous man. I mean, I get it. You have a beef with local government. I have a beef with the federal government, my local government, and my HOA. Doesn't mean I'm going to put on a display that could be looked at as harassing or terroristic threats. Read the room. Know yourself. I don't understand. Don't be stupid. How about that? How about for the mo you know, like just don't be a moron. I swear. Well, Guy Fieri lost $1 million in tequila. I guess we can just follow the naked people because I have heard reliably told both by country, well, Appalachian women and, well, country songs that tequila makes your clothes fall off. So I say we just follow the nudist. Guy Fieri's $1 million tequila heist was no one off. Here's how thieves prey on U.S. trucking. No guns, no midnight ambush, just a phone call. That's all it took for thieves to hijack 2 truckloads carrying $1 million worth of Guy Fieri and Sammy Hagar's tequila. In one of the most high-profile cargo heists in recent memory, criminals posing as company officials used cyber deception to reroute 24,000 bottles of the celebrity duo's Santos Spirits tequila to a fake Los Angeles warehouse instead of its intended destination in Pennsylvania. You'd think if you had one destination in Pennsylvania and one in Los Angeles, you'd be like, these are real different. I should call someone from the company. I know it's an email, but you'd think you'd ask, like, hey, just double checking from Pennsylvania to Los Angeles now, just checking. Now, after duping legitimate drivers in Laredo, Texas, they spoofed trucks' GPS, making the booze that took nearly 4 years to produce disappear without a trace. Oh, it hurt. It hurt bad, TV chef Fieri told 60 Minutes this week when he detailed the plunder. I mean, this is a semi-tractor truck, Fieri said. My mind is swimming exactly how you lose, that many thousands of bottles of tequila. Now, the heist underscores how much larger and more alarming this truth is. Cargo theft has metastasized into a global organized enterprise that now costs U.S. trucking about $7 billion a year. That's nearly $19 million every day. Now, thieves may still smash locks in the middle of the night, but now they're using the ever-evolving digital deception to hijack goods, even impersonating websites of legitimate trucking companies to fool unsuspecting shippers. Because of the remote nature of cyber tactics, cargo theft is a high-profit, low-risk proposition. So this is something that I'm guessing is going to become more prevalent, and probably we're going to see more laws. Now, I don't know how to work the matrix, so maybe like the computer security guys on these companies need to be smart. I don't know. I don't know how you fix this. I'm the lady that reads the news, not fixes it. If anyone was confused here, I don't have the wisdom to fix this stuff. I just read the news. That being said, keep your hands to yourself. Why are people so doggone... I swear to goodness, it's like, just keep your hands to yourself. For these two, too. Drunken New Jersey sisters were arrested after a meltdown for being kicked off of Frontier Airlines for attacking a worker. I mean, how bad, like that's one step up from Spirit Airlines. How do you do this? Two sunburnt and drunken New Jersey sisters. You could have just said New Jersey sisters. No offense, but let's just say that Jersey Shores was not great at communicating, general life of New Jersey as normal. I'm sure it is nowhere near Jersey Shore, but that being said, allegedly attacked a Frontier Airlines gate agent after the duo were kicked off of their flight at a Florida airport, according to body cam footage that was released on Wednesday. Now, Kiara Lyons, 22, and Mara Flores, 31, were arrested when they were accused of being intoxicated and causing a disturbance on their Garden State-bound plane at Orlando International Airport on May 15th. Now, the body cam footage from the incident shows an Orlando police officer approaching an airline worker who was seated on the airbridge floor after the alleged assault. It was the short, skinny one first that pushed me, and then the bigger one, her sister, pushed me right after. I mean, at least you were described as skinny. However, now the victim stated that she called to, see the supervisor and the police after the sisters refused. Oh, I'm sorry. So, yes. So the victim, the airline person, was like, yeah, they refused to leave because they were screaming and shouting obscenities on board and they were super drunk. Now, after some time, the pair agreed and were escorted to, the terminal. As the sisters were leaving, the worker claimed that Lyons unleashed a verbal attack on flight crew and got in her face saying, F you, you fat B word. I said, thank you. And the victim recalled when she was facing me, she pushed me, then turned around and her sister came up and shoved me again, adding that it caused her to trip over something on the ground. Now, the flight attendant that was standing nearby backed up her claim and told the officer that both girls had pushed the victim. Keep your hands to yourself. Toddlers go in timeout. I hope you stay in jail until you sober up and stop acting like a retard. Like, honest to goodness, act like you have sense. Your parents are probably deeply disappointed. I hope that this footage humbles you and makes you have better life choices. Because what the hell? Just what the hell? Now, after being, assaultive, batteried. I always remember assault is more words because you're salty about words, and then battery because, he bitch slapped someone. So if you ever confuse those two, assault and battery, assault is salty words. So you don't need to touch anyone for assault. Battery is where you bitch slap someone. There you go. That's my legal guidance. And that might not even be correct today, so don't really listen to me, but that's how I remember it for me, to be honest. Well, after getting arrested, Lyons, one of the sisters said she has anxiety and depression. So do I, but I don't manage to have, freakouts on an airplane. So do most people. I hope that they become infamous. Oh, sweethearts, who did your balayage? Good Lord. That's not a shadow route. That's just being lazy. And what in the... Okay, if your eyebrow is here, why did you stamp it? Women, stop plucking out your eyebrows and stamping on something God didn't give you because it looks weird. Okay? I mean, these are the eyebrows God gave me. I just darkened them up. This whole stamp with the big, no more wire hangers. It's not a look, okay? It just looks like you're constantly shocked or surprised. There you go. Well, you guys can try. I'm gonna side pass that one. Well, for all the men and women who are worried about losing our hair, or people that don't shed constantly and still have 900 pounds of hair, a breakthrough as common as ice cream and a soda ingredient could finally solve hair loss. Well, forget Rogaine, what's this? A sugar substitute found in thousands of candies, desserts, and diet drinks could promote hair growth in people suffering from baldness. I'm going to get Mr. Mo so many stevia packets. Stevia is a natural zero-calorie sweetener used in more than 40,000 products worldwide and contains compounds known as steviosides, which give it a sweet flavor. Now, Australian researchers have found that these compounds, if they're mixed with the popular over-the-counter hair loss drug minoxidil, commonly known as Rogaine, it may help revive hair growth on the head. So do you mix the minoxidil with the stevia packets? Like, what are we doing here? Now, in tests on mice, scientists placed a microneedle patch infused with a mix of minoxidil and steviosides on rodents' bald patches every day for a month and found that it triggered new hair growth across 67% of their back by the experiment's end. Well, there you go. So, but you have to inject it? I mean, ouch. Now, the mice who received this standard 2% minoxidil solution without the steviosides sprayed on their back every day for the same growth period saw regrowth of just 25% of the bald area. So it does seem like this might be something that they're onto. Dr. Lefink Kang, a pharmacist at the University of Sydney who led the research, said uses of stevia to enhance the minoxidil delivery represents a promising step forward and a more effective natural treatment for hair loss, potentially benefiting millions worldwide. Now, researchers aren't quite certain why the stevia extracts boost the hair growth, but they suggest it could be because they help the body absorb more of the minoxidil, increasing the effectiveness of the medication. Now, minoxidil works by stimulating blood flow to hair follicles on the scalp, prolonging their growing phase and encouraging new strands of hair to grow. It's typically applied topically as a gel or a foam because the skin absorbs it poorly. Users often have to apply it twice a day, often for 6 months or more before seeing any results. It's safe to use, but there are rare cases of drug side effects, including swelling in the hands and feet, chest pain, or increased face or body hair, along with nausea and vomiting. I'm just reading sort of things that they said. So that being said, it does have some things. Now, small studies have suggested that patients taking the oral minoxidil are about twice as likely to experience the side effect of hypertrichosis or unwanted hair growth on areas of the body besides the hair or the head, compared to those who use the topical version. Now, some studies have shown that the oral and topical version of the drug are equally as effective, though some papers do suggest that taking it by mouth is more effective because of the body absorbing the drug, easier than topically. Wait, we scored the mouse? Okie dokie. Well, I mean, the mouse with the, Splenda seems to work much better. These poor mice. Why are we shaving mice? Could we not look at this at a supercomputer? Why are we still testing on animals? I mean, can't we have like the mouse genome and see what it would do? Whose job is it to shave the mice? I mean, this is what I think about when I'm having a really bad pain day. Like the last time I had a really bad pain day, I tried to figure out if aliens have fetishes. And I'm not talking about I'm talking about ET aliens. And then I got stuck with, well, I wonder if aliens would dress up as humans and what would that fetish be called? And I think it would be humos, like My Little Human. I'm still fleshing out the details of weird alien fetishes, but that's what I think about when I'm having a really bad pain day because my brain gets, just tangled up in all the sort of nuances of weird alien fetishes. That being said, if you want to know my pain relieving secret, it's to find the weirdest thing and think about it to its absolute minutest detail, just because it gives my brain something to think about. Now, it was a small study carried out only in mice, and mice and people are not the same. So don't go out and buy a bunch of stevia packets to mix with your husband's Rogaine or your Rogaine or everyone's Rogaine. We're not even sure what exactly is causing that. I can't even watch that. I like watching Disparu, make fun of that, but I don't like watching any alien that isn't R-rated. Kind of confuses me. Now, this was just the coolest thing I have ever heard about in my entire life. So, of course, I clicked on it. It's not really, news, but it is super cool. The incredible moment a Long Island animal rescuer performed a wing transplant on an injured butterfly. I had no idea you can do this. A monarch butterfly with a critical wing injury was given a second chance to fly after New York rescuers performed an intricate transplant procedure. The vulnerable insect was brought to Sweet Bar Nature Center in Smithtown, Long Island, with one of its wings seemingly damaged beyond repair last week. It was bent and torn, hindering the monarch's ability to fly. Dagmar Hofdavisit, Davis of Deer Park spotted the dying creature and wanted to try to save its life. Butterfly, they say, is good luck from the other side, so it's a spiritual thing for me, she told CBS. Unwilling to give up on the butterfly, Hoff Davis carefully brought it up to the nonprofit Wildlife Rehabilitation Center to see if there was anything that could be done to help. Now, Janie Benz Dickinson, the wildlife director, had a bold idea of a wing transplant. Now, the unusual procedure would give the tiny victim a fighting chance to be airbound once again, but they needed a viable donor. Are what? I scoured the floor nearby for dead butterflies and I found a monarch. The wing was in perfect shape. So, what in the name of people? I mean, that's ingenious. I just wouldn't have ever thought of doing any of that. When she found the perfect match, she delved into the 5 minute long surgery, which required both patience and precision. It's so intricate because the butterfly could fall apart if I pressed too hard. She explained that the center used contact cement, cornstarch, and a small piece of wire, which held the butterfly to pull off the feet. The video was shared by Sweetbriar Nature Center and shows the insect being held down by the wire as Benson used scissors to cut off the jagged edge of the remaining broken wing, and she lined up the new wing with what the butterfly had left after they got all the jagged parts off, and carefully glued it onto the insect. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. I wouldn't have thought of that. I think they mean like super glue. I think. Yeah, what are they doing to monarch butterfly? But I mean, it's kind of a cute story. I just would have never thought of that, to be honest with you. And I thought, I mean, there you go. They saved a butterfly. To be fair, I have spent 3 hours making a Hank Brennan, puppet. So 5 minutes and they saved a butterfly. 3 hours and I have a scary looking puppet that looks at me. So who's the real weirdo? Probably me. And for our final form, Jesus, what in the Walmart rapture is going on here? We have, well, a couple stories for you guys. So check your timeline. The Matrix isn't broken. We are, in fact, in the broken simulation, or I blame CERN. Whatever you choose to label this segment, it's just all the weird stuff I've been able to find.
Ye keep its grove, thou glowing shrine of thirst traps, scams, and dollar signs. We chant in tones both grim and low, for virtue fled a long time ago. Kyrie eleison, Christe descendat, final form Jesus return in wrath. With six-pack listening, sword in hand, he cometh swift to cleanse the land.
Okay, UK, are you all right? Because or not UK, EU, the European Union. I know you have some more pressing issues rather than vegan meats being labeled with less meaty names. Apparently, that is the hill they've decided to go on, though. Vegan meats must now be labeled with less meaty names under a new law. This is a culture war. The European Union could soon ban vegan sausage rolls in flavor of plant-based tubes. Yeah, I don't think I want to eat a tube. No, we're just not doing this. Meat-free products from Northern Ireland will have to be renamed if the EU votes in favor of banning plant-based food from being sold with meaty terms. What about girthy? Could we just add girthy tubes? EU, what is going on? Really, this is the thing you've decided to waste precious time on? Not that there's like Ukraimia or anything happening or, anything going on that you might need to pay attention to. No, making sure that vegans don't get to... Actually, I like this. Beyond Beef should not be labeled with any meaty words. It's not my jam. Now, the amendment could restrict the use of seven meaty terms, including steak, a scallop, sausage, burger, hamburger, egg yolk, and egg white. Now, products would have to be sold under descriptive new terms such as tubes or discs. A steak is made of meat, full stop. Using these names for only real meat keeps labels honest, protects farmers, and preserves Europe's culinary tradition. Okie dokie. I mean, I guess if you wanna die on this hill, a steak, an escallop, or sausage are products from livestock farms, period. No laboratory substitutes, no plant-based products. Okay, I'm kind of liking this now. To be fair, if you have to be vegan or you are, vegan, I think that's fine. I don't care. I'm confused as to why we're deciding to do this, other than I do understand you want to really protect your cultural heritage. The EU is made up of tons of country, each having their own culinary history that want to protect those. But honestly, making vegan stuff have less meaty names? Now, the EU ruling would apply to Northern Ireland thanks to Windsor Framework. The Windsor Framework, which says that Northern Ireland must follow some of the rules that Britain does not, including food labeling. Now, Greg's products will be able to escape the possible order due to a loophole in Brexit, the treaty that allows certain products that are made in Britain to be sold under their original name after being shipped to North Ireland. I don't get this, but there you go. I mean, EU, you've done a great job. You've beyond burp. It's good job, EU. Thanks for having our backs. Well, alien DNA has been found inside humans. It was inserted into our genes, a bonkers new study claims. Hey, Alec, don't talk about Alex Jones that way. Is it an invasion of the genome catchers? It's just the case of ideas of aliens walking around with human suits, or just in case the idea of aliens walking around in human suits wasn't frightening enough, an outlandish new study asserts that aliens might have abducted us and inserted genes into human DNA, with the fallout actually affecting potentially millions of people. Humanity may be undergoing a genetic transformation, said lead researcher Max Rappel, the founder and CEO of DNA Resonance Research Foundation. Now, this study has yet to be peer reviewed. I wonder why. Now, Rampell came to this far-fetched conclusion by analyzing DNA from both regular people and those who have claimed to be abducted by aliens. This comes following a spike of UFO sightings in the last year, with many, fearing that we're on the edge of some sort of close encounter of the not so friendly kind. Now, the scientists specifically analyzed 581 complete families from the 1000 Genomes Project, discovering large DNA sequences of DNA in 11 families that didn't appear to correspond to either family. Yeah, because genes are incredibly long. There's a lot of data that we don't understand. Now, that being said, I hope that I'm one of those alien people, because that would explain why I don't understand peopling. Like, this might be a dream come true. I might understand why I'm socially awkward. I'm running with this theory. Now, these genetic aberrations entailed a bundle of 384 or 48 non-parental genetic variants, and as the subjects were born before 1990, this ruled out human gene editing technologies such as CRISPR, which only emerged in the, recent past of 2013. Nat Rampel also analyzed 23andMe results from individuals who had self-identified as alien abductees, discovering that some families showed evidence of non-parental markers. Now, if this evidence is deemed and confirmed true, the alien prober feels that it could be possible to detect which humans carry alien DNA, essentially identifying hybrids. In other words, if the premise, like the premise of every sci-fi flick from Invasion of the Body Snatchers to They Live, the aliens are already here, camouflaged by our own genes, per his theory. I'm kind of okay with this. I mean, honest, I am way okay with this. Like, this explains why I can't human, why I'm all like confused most of the time. I'm willing to go with alien DNA rather than I'm just a spaz. The extraterrestrial DNA enthusiast even claimed that a good portion of those with autism, ADHD, and Asperger's, along with other neurodivergent traits, could contain these alien insertions. Well, I mean, if I get to take Tylenol again, I'm kind of okay with. What are we reading here? I mean, I love this thought, but he better have actual real data because what is going on? Yeah, but basically my ADHD is because I'm an alien. That I'm totally cool with this. If I had money to fund this project, I'd be there. He even suggests that some of these extraterrestrial genetic modifications could bestow humans with unusual abilities like telepathy, much like Ellen Ripley's psychic abilities in Alien Resurrection, that weird movie where she kind of seemed like she was getting it on with Winona Ryder. And that weird alien human baby thing. Oh my God, that was the most scary thing. And the little nose thing. Anywho, if you haven't seen Alien Resurrection, you're not missing much. Thanks. I need to dye my hair and get it back to the red it was, so I have had no want to deal with it today. So I just like I'll do space buns. I'm looking very Drewish. I like Spaceballs better. Speaking of which, Hollywood, don't mess up Spaceballs too. I've had it up to a year with y'all messing my stuff up. So Mel Brooks, keep that man safe until Spaceballs 2 is back. Now, this could possibly be there. Of course, there are some caveats to this out there study. Rempel, who holds a PhD from the Institute of Gene Biology in Moscow, Russia, noted that there's no conclusive evidence yet, as they need better data sets, which are available only on approval. That takes time and effort, said the scientist, who added that current commercial genotyping services, which rely on array-based data, aren't precise enough to support such radical claims. So instead, he advocates for next generation sequencing or a whole genome sequencing, which can detect novel variants in much higher resolution. Now, his hope is to use those higher resolution or next generation sequencings to pick up which novel variants are showing up at higher resolutions to analyze parents and children who identify as alien abductees and hopefully pinpoint where these aliens infiltrated the DNA strand. Not to mention that the researcher's theory is in the same wheelhouse as most fringe alien hybrid hypothesis, floated by tinfoil conspiracists such as the Nazca mummies, which reportedly harbor both alien and human DNA. Now, Nigel Watson, author of Portraits of Alien Encounters Revisited, urged caution due to the small sample size and the challenge of studying those with anecdotal evidence of alien abductions. Alien abduction experiences can stem from a variety of terrestrial factors, he said, and we need to carefully verify those accounts before drawing conclusions about DNA. Nonetheless, Watson believes that further genetic research on volunteer abductees is needed and could potentially prove as world-shattering as recovering a flying saucer. In the interim, Rampel believes that possible alien hybridization could have major implications for the future of humanity. We need to consider how much alien hybridization is healthy for the planet and which alien races we might have given priority. Well, here's hoping it's not the lizard people, but it would explain my dry skin and my like to just sit on warm heated things and to be a bit cold-blooded. Actually, this is making perfect sense for me. Oh, good night, nurse. Well, the man known as the real Tarzan is under fire after showing shocking videos with massive reptiles. This is extremely dangerous and illegal. Yes, don't play with alligators. I thought that we all knew this. Now, this is the second time that this man has made it on to Mornings with Mo. He is known, he actually went to Australia and played with a saltwater croc. Eventually, this game is not going to end up in his favor, and it's dangerous and illegal, so don't do it. A U.S. tourist in Australia has drawn backlash for coolly capturing a protected species for the benefit of his own personal brand. Now, the content creator who calls himself the real-life Tarzan has been hunting and capturing powerful wild animals to make viral videos for his TikTok account. Mike Holston is under fire for two videos he posted to his millions of followers, showing him wrestling a freshwater crocodile and another showing him manhandling a saltwater crocodile, one of the deadliest creatures on the planet. Yeah, no molesto alligators. Now, Holston has excused his behavior by calling it educational. No, Miss Frizzle's educational. You're a jackass. However, he has no formal veterinary training, and experts have decried the illegal behavior in the videos. A second video shows Mr. Holston heading into marshland to capture a juvenile saltwater crocodile. Usually one of the most aggressive reptiles, the animal has a large limp as he holds it by the neck and lifts it for the camera, or is largely limp. So again, he didn't get a big saltwater croc because that would have kicked his ass and eaten him. He went and messed with a baby. So this has definitely taken over a lot of things. Now, officials in Queensland are saying that the influencer's actions, which could attract fines of up to $37,500 in Australian dollars, or equaling out to 24,776 US dollars, are both extremely dangerous and illegal. So it does seem like he is possibly facing this. Now, if Holston were to become injured or killed by one of these deadly predators, there could be serious consequences. Wild animals that attack humans, usually because they're provoked by those same humans, are often euthanized to prevent further attacks. So these wild creatures are going to pay the ultimate price, so this man can beef up his, brand. This is ridiculous. This is not good. Now, hopefully he gets some, punishment for this, because this is both, unsafe for him and the animals. And quite frankly, if the saltwater croc ate him, I'd be on the salty side. That being said, don't mess with giant animals. If Steve Irwin can't figure it out, don't do it. Now, there are a couple of stories that you're going to want to keep up with, especially true crime-wise. Charlie Kirk's assassin, a legal expert, unpacks defense challenges and why evidence secrecy will be critical. Now, this is kind of going over stuff that we already know because we watch trials, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see how tight-lipped they are with the information from the investigation. And there are, as far as we know, because I did cover the initial hearing, there are terabytes and terabytes full of digital evidence. So they did push off another hearing for the next 60 to 90 days where the defense could actually look at the discovery. And it seems like the judge is going to be no nonsense. He clarified the media order and the gag order. This is going to be a high profile case, and there's going to be a lot of things that the defense is going to have to look into, and the state's going to have to prove that they were able to get all of this digital information both parsed correctly. Canton, I'm looking at you. And actually had warrants and everything. But this is definitely going to be, you're not going to hear a lot about this case until it goes to trial. They are keeping it very tight-lipped, like the Koberger case. So keep that in mind as more people are putting out evidence, on this case, or putting out theories, that this is going to be a very tight-lipped case. Now, Randall Spencer, a veteran criminal defense attorney familiar with homicide cases, spoke with Fox News Digital in the confidential nature of the evidence and about potential legal strategies, and why he has remained, Robinson particularly, why he has remained out of public view since his first court appearance. Well, he's in jail, that being said. Now, again, there needs to be an element of confidentiality of the evidence in order to protect the jury pool. If the prosecutor or defense is leaking quote unquote evidence to the public, it may inhibit Tyler's right to a fair trial. So this is going to be very by the books. It's going to be very, very tight-lipped until we get to the actual trial, I believe, just because it's such a high-profile case. So kind of making sure that you guys keep that in mind as you see. And I'm all for speculation. I mean, I'm all for the, Hasidic bees or whatever we're talking about now as to possible, internal conspiracies that happened. But keep in mind that the real investigation, the real case, is going to be played out in the courtroom. And that's kind of why I pulled that up. We've kind of already been over all of this, but just a general reminder of, keeping things together. Now, to the name and shame portion, or actually, no, we have one more. Now, this isn't a case that I am deeply aware of, but this is another case that you are probably going to be, if you're watching live trial feeds, that is going to be coming up soon, that will probably be big. Now, the driver accused of mowing down 4 Pepperdine sorority sister has asked for the murder charges to be dropped. Now, I do believe that Alan Jackson is also representing this young man. I have not gotten in on the information on this case, so I have no opinions on it as just from the start of the article. The high-powered lawyers for the out-of-control BMW driver accused of taking the life of 4 Pepperdine University students is now urging California judge residing over the case to toss his murder case, arguing that the 23-year-old was grossly overcharged. Fraser Baum's defense attorney, Jacqueline Springa, filed a 55-page motion on September 30th, challenging the details from an April hearing and pushing to dismiss the 4 murder counts leveled against her client, according to court documents obtained by the Post. Braum was slapped with murder and vehicular manslaughter charges for fatally mowing down Naeem Ralston, 20, Peyton Stewart, 21, Asha Weir, 21, and Deslin Williams, 21, while going over 100 miles per hour in Malibu on October 17th, 2023. We believe that the facts were presented at a preliminary hearing that do not establish murder charges, so we're asking the court to look at the facts that were presented and look at the law and make a determination that the facts do not rise to the level of murder, Springa said in a phone interview on Wednesday. We believed he was very overcharged, grossly overcharged. We don't believe this is a murder case, and this is our first shot at getting the murder charges dismissed. Now, Braum appeared at Van Nuys courthouse on Wednesday, where Springa informed the Los Angeles County Superior Court Judge Thomas Robinson of the motion. Now, that was filed in Los Angeles Superior Court and claims that the prosecutors are lacking legally sufficient evidence to back second-degree murder charges. And I haven't looked at the exact statutes in California as to whether these charges do not align with the facts in the case. Again, I only know vaguely of this story. I believe I covered this when it first happened. Now, the filing also blasts the prosecution for a muddled presentation and that their theory of implied malice is unsupported by both fact and law. Now, prosecutors say that the Malibu resident was allegedly speeding at 104 miles per hour on a notoriously dangerous 45-mile stretch of the Pacific Coast Highway when he lost control of his luxury car and slammed into three parked cars, which then collided with the four Alpha Phi sorority sisters walking by. Now, the victims were seniors at the liberal arts college and all passed away on the scene. Two other people in the crash were injured, which Brahm walked away from unscathed. He was initially arrested and charged with gross vehicular manslaughter, charges that were upgraded to 4 counts of murder a week later. He pled not guilty in August and was flanked by defense attorney Alan Jackson, who was fresh off his June victory, getting Karen Reed acquitted of, taking John O'Keefe's life. Now, I don't know anything about this case. I knew that I thought Alan Jackson was into it. If this is a case you guys want me to follow, I will try to find time to look into it. But Baker's probably going to be your best source. He's really good at all the Karen Reed and sort of thing where I kind of tend to squirrel around. So that being said, this is a tragic case. 4 families lost their children in a blink of an eye. And it's just tragic. So whatever happens in court, there's still these people who will never be back. And I find that just heartbreaking, regardless of what any court says. Now we have got some absolute butt monkeys to name and shame in our Lord Chippy segment because, well, the butt monkeyness continues. And some people just don't realize they will get named and shamed. So for your, naming and shaming 15 minutes of what the hell is wrong with y'all, let's get going.
They're our skin, they steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop Lord Chippy from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Chippy's coming and he don't play games.
And we've got a couple fleeing to Guam or Idaho. Now, I didn't always win at Carmen Sandiego, but I know those places could not be further from each other. So what in the actual Hades is going on? Like, we're either going to go to Guam or, wherever. Why not? Guam. Guam is great. Guam will be great today. A couple fleeing to either Guam or Idaho ditched their kid on the highway with bags of force multipliers and told him to take care of the house. You have got to be kidding me. And, would you be shocked? I know you're not going to be shocked, but this includes both Florida man and whoa man. I'm not shocked at all. A Florida man and woman are accused of leaving a juvenile on the side of the highway with a bag of force multipliers and some cash before telling him to take care of the house and driving away. Bradley Leon Guerrero Santos, 36, and Rosalina Mendola Bora, 38, stand accused of child neglect. Now, Santos is charged with the offense of being a parent or guardian and allowing a minor to have unlawful possession of a force multiplier. Cops investigated the incident shortly before 6 p.m. on October 1st when they received 911 calls about a suspicious male walking alone on the shoulder of Interstate 75 in Northport. Now, officers approached the juvenile, whose age was redacted from the affidavit, along with his relationship to the suspects. He was initially reluctant to explain his predicament, but eventually tried to explain the odd series of events that had led him walking alone on the highway. The boy said when he arrived home from school that day, the suspects were frantically, just packing their bags. They told them they were either going to Guam or Idaho, which they had never mentioned before. Then they hopped into a Toyota 4Runner and started driving. While in the car, the boy said he did not want to leave, so the couple allegedly pulled over the car to the side of the highway, gave him 2 bags containing 2 pistols and ammunition and some cash. The couple told him to take care of the home before driving the rest of the way to either Guam or Idaho. He thought the suspects may have been testing his mental fortitude by leaving him on the side of the road. Police went to the suspect's home and found it in disarray, leaving it wide open as if the family had left abruptly in a hurry with no regard to their personal belongings. Several phone calls to the couple went unanswered. Now, detectives found the suspect in their vehicle more than 4 hours later at a home in Wachalucha, about 60 miles northeast of Northport. Now, the affidavit does not say why the couple was in such a hurry to leave. Cops concluded that the couple abandoned the boy on the side of the highway with no means to care for himself and no prior custody arrangements. Both them are in the Sarasota County Jail on $50,000 bond. Yeah, because what the hell, you two? Worst parents ever. Also, worst geographers ever. You can't drive to Guam. You do know it's an island. It's... sure. What in the Joel Guy Jr. are we looking at with this face? Because I have not seen a weirder facial formation than since Joel Guy Jr. Human spinal cord found in the backyard burn pit leads to a son's arrest for the murder of his missing mother. And he's from my home state. This is what high fructose corn syrup will do to y'all. Like, don't stay with natural sugar. Don't go with high fructose corn syrup. A 20-year-old Indiana man is accused of taking the life of his own mother, allegedly, laying hands onto her until she died of blunt force trauma, then stuffing her into a wooden box and setting that all aflame in a backyard burn pit. Nicholas Thomas Yates was taken into custody over the weekend and charged with 1 count of murder in connection with his mother's slaying. Now, according to a news release from Indiana State Police, Yates on Sunday contacted the Vermilion County Sheriff's Office and reported his mother was missing, claiming she hadn't returned home in several days and he'd been unable to get in touch with her. Okay, Chandler. Yates and his mother lived at a residence on the 300 block of Davis Street, which is about 80 miles west of Indianapolis. Now, the sheriff's office subsequently reached out to the state police's Putnamville Post with the investigation. However, authorities said during the course of the investigation, detectives uncovered criminal activity and determined that the missing person had been murdered. That evidence led to Yates' arrest. Yates was taken into custody without incident and is being held at the Vermilion County Jail. And currently, the name of the deceased is not being released until a positive identification can be made by the Vermilion County Coroner's Office. Now, that process will probably take several weeks because of the degradation of the remains and having to get DNA. Police will not or did not disclose any other further details about the ongoing investigation. A probable cause affidavit was obtained by a local NBC affiliate in Terre Haute and provided additional details about what led investigators to the home, on Yates as a murder suspect. Now, according to the report, when Yates first spoke to investigators after reporting his mother missing, he immediately raised suspicions by insinuating that his mother was no longer around. Upon asking Nick if he knew of anyone who would want to harm his mother, he advised no, she was the sweetest person, which noted by police added emphasis to the word was. Now, Yates also reportedly told police that his mother's clothes, identification, and bank cards were also missing, but claimed that her phone, purse, and wallet had been left behind. Despite claiming that her phone had been left at the home, he also allegedly stated that he had been repeatedly calling his mother's phone for days. When asked about the discrepancy, Yates reportedly claimed that his mother had purchased a new phone with the same number. When authorities asked if they could see the old phone that was left behind, he claimed that he had sold it. Yeah, he's going to be his defense lawyer's, dream. Now, the mother's boss told investigators that the victim left work on October 3rd and she was frustrated with her son for wasting his own money while she paid all the bills, reportedly saying that she was going to, him, you know, probably in one of those kind of over the top things we say hyperbolically. While Yates claimed he didn't know where his mother was, investigators noted that when they responded to the home, they found two individuals who had already moved into the mother's room. Now, the two individuals were reportedly unable to corroborate multiple aspects of Yates' story regarding the previous days, though they did state that they saw him cleaning a great deal and spending money at several restaurants and stores. Now, investigators also noted that Yates claimed that he had the two move into the home because he was afraid to be alone at the residence. But the truly incriminating evidence came to light when authorities searched the backyard. We proceeded to the backyard where we discovered bones within the burn pit. The shape and appearance of the bones led one to believe that they were perhaps human bones. Particularly indicative of the human bone was the bone which appeared to be part of the human spinal cord. He probably means vertebrae, because your spinal cord isn't bone, but he's a police person, so. But yeah, I think he probably means vertebrae, or yeah. Now, confronted with the evidence of the remains, Yates allegedly confessed to taking his mother's life on October the 3rd when the two were arguing about him moving out of the home. He said that he struck his mom, which caused her to in the throat, which caused her to turn blue and fall, and then he hit her again and again with a metal bed frame until she fell backward, eventually putting her body in the wooden box and spending most of October 4th, out at the burn pit. Yeah, really. I mean, honestly, this man looks like he wanted to become his mother. Yeah, nothing. And let me just say that there is a special place in hell for people that, subject elderly patients to abuse just through not caring about their jobs. There is a special place in hell, I believe, for those kind of people. Like, I have no chill when it comes to disregarding people that can't advocate for themselves medically. Soiled his brief and had to wait. A grandfather in the nursing home passed away from infectious stage 4 bed sores because staff was too lazy to take care of him. A nursing home in Ohio responsible for the care of a 72-year-old grandfather has been accused of, quote, making profit-driven decisions, end quote, that led to his death, with his family's lawyers accusing the facility of telling the man they would not assist him to the toilet and he'd need to soil his briefs and wait. Now, this allegedly led to the grandpa being left in his own waste for hours at a time, causing a stage 4 bed sore along with a deadly infection. Bed sores and sepsis from bed sores don't happen overnight. This was chronic. This was long term. The bed sore was so large and had tunneled so deeply that the bones of his lower back and pelvis were exposed and visible. The family of Samuel Frank Ray Sr. said in the complaint for a wrongful death suit filed on Monday in Lucas County. Michael Hill Trial Law Group, which also is representing the family, alleges that Arbors of Sylvania, a Toledo-based skilled nursing facility with multiple locations, failed to properly treat or care for the 70-year-old man as he was transferred there following hospitalizations in August 2024 for a urinary tract infection and aspiration pneumonia. Now, Ray's family accuses Arbors of Sylvania staff of placing Ray in adult diapers even when he was not incontinent and knew when he needed to go to the toilet to relieve himself. Now, according to the complaint, this was allegedly due to chronic understaffing at the facility. Allegedly, staff told Samuel Frank Ray Sr. that if he had to go to the toilet, instead he should just soil his Depends and staff would be around to change his briefs. This resulted in, him being left in hours in waste. Weeks allegedly went by with Ray having to repeatedly soil himself, his family says, leading to prolonged exposure on his skin and irritation. A care plan was created which required staff to monitor Ray's skin for both deterioration and breakdown on a daily basis in order to timely detect, possible bed sores in their early stages and prevent them from, developing or worsening into open wounds. During the month of September 2024, Arbors of Sylvania staff failed to turn and reposition Samuel Frank Ray 33 shifts, leaving him laying in one position in bed, thus exposed to prolonged and excessive periods of pressure. During this same time, Arbors of Sylvania failed to check and monitor Samuel Ray Sr.'s skin for breakdowns or pressure for 33 shifts, allowing an evolving skin breakdown to go undetected until it was too late. Ray wound up developing an open bed sore on his coccyx, or his tailbone, that grew and grew until things eventually turned deadly. They claim it was a direct result of the Arbors of Sylvania's flippant adherence to their own care plan and standard of care to turn and reposition. Now, on October 7th, 2024, Ray was transferred from the nursing home to a local hospital for outpatient treatment for his bed sore. He began experiencing signs and symptoms of sepsis several weeks later and remained severely compromised from the open bed sore before eventually succumbing from both infection and trauma on January 17th, 2025. Sam Ray Sr.'s family entrusted Arbors of Sylvania with his recovery. Our lawsuit contends that Arbor of Sylvania denied Sam Ray Sr. even basic care, leaving him laying in his own waste until a wound ate through to bone and infections ravaged his body. We're pursuing this case to secure justice for Mr. Ray and to hold the facility accountable so other families don't endure the same tragedy. It's awful. If you don't have it in your heart to care for the elderly, then don't get that job. And it's going to come with a sticker shock, but we need to pay for good workers. Getting someone with 2 or 3 weeks of training as a care partner and paying them, basic minimum wage, this is ridiculous. Where the hell was the management? Where was the risk coordinator? Where was anyone? Where was any person? If they can prove that all of this happened, I hope they take every single cent away and all of these people can find a more safe home. This is ridiculous. Well, after that, we need a palate cleanser, you guys. So we have got puppy, kitten, animal shenanigans. But seriously, if you can't or don't want to do your job, especially if it's working with the elderly or people that can't advocate for themselves, then get out of that job. If you're not going to do it, if you're going to let someone die in pain and suffering that they didn't need to have, then get the hell out of that job and go work at McDonald's. I am done with people today.
When the world feels like a dumpster dive and humans forget how to thrive, take a break, just you and me, with a puppy and kitten, wild and free. Paws and purrs, let's drift away to a land where tails wag and play. No more noise, just gentle muse in our furry four-legged cruise.
Well, a confused bear charges through a supermarket, injuring 2, and the next day, a man was found dead after a suspected bear attack. And this was in Japan. I didn't think Japan had bears. I am very sorry for the man who lost his life. I need to read all the headline. Authorities in Japan say a bear injured 2 people while in a supermarket, and a further man was killed in a separate suspected bear attack. According to the Gunma Prefecture government office, the attack in the supermarket occurred around 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, October 7th in Numata City. A bear entered a supermarket, injuring 1 man, and another man was attacked and injured by the bear when he noticed that the bear was at the entrance and tried to escape. The 2 men sustained non-life-threatening injuries, and Japanese broadcaster NHK reported that the bear charged through to the fish and sushi sections of the supermarket, and there were about 40 people inside the supermarket when the attack happened. It looked to me as if the bear was confused. It was in a store for 10 to 15 minutes and didn't look like it was foraging, recalled the store manager. The bear ran away as customers were evacuating. Meanwhile, in a separate incident, a man was found deceased on a mountain on Wednesday, October 8th in the Iwate prefecture from another possible bear attack. This year, Japan has seen deaths from bear-related attacks reach an all-time high of 7. The rise in bear attacks has been attributed to the changes in, population density, climate change, bear food resources, hibernation cycles. In August, a body was found on a mountain after a missing hiker was attacked by a brown bear. Police say the victim was walking a trail on Mount Rasu on Thursday morning when he was attacked, according to the agency France, and according to French news. A friend ran to help the man and witnessed him trying to fight off the bear before the animal dragged him into the forest. Now, on August 15th, police and searchers came across a piece of shirt that might have belonged to the victim, where the friend contacted authorities. Authorities said the victim was later found in the afternoon and taken to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead and has been identified as 26-year-old Sota Kazuki, sorry. I didn't think bear attacks was going to be something I would have to worry about in Japan, but I'm not really an outside cat, so I don't know how much hiking I'll be doing in Japan. Like, if I leave the Sailor Moon store at all, if I ever go to Japan, I'll just be proud of myself for my self-control. I don't recommend this at all, but as our final story, I thought, hey, I mean, if it cured her back pain, I've got Hagatha the leg. A woman swallowed 8 live frogs to cure her back pain. An old Chinese woman was recently hospitalized after swallowing 8 live frogs to treat back pain caused by a herniated spinal disc. When suffering from back pain, most people will take some painkillers, maybe use ointments or go see a doctor, but an older woman from Shenzhou in a province in China, decided that the best course of action was to swallow live frogs, after hearing a rumor that swallowing live frogs could alleviate back pain. The woman, surnamed Shang, asked some relatives to catch some mid-sized frogs for her, but didn't tell them that she planned to eat them. She persuaded to swallow 5 live frogs one day and followed that up with additional 3 the next day. Now, it wasn't long before she started experiencing excruciating stomach pain. I can't imagine why. Also, what in the Lemmy-Winks is this story? At first, she said she only felt a slight discomfort in her stomach, but the intensity of the pain increased over the following days, and it was only when she could no longer bear it that she confessed to her family that she had swallowed 8 live frogs. She was then rushed to the first affiliated hospital, and doctors conducted tests and ruled out a possible tumor, but discovered abnormally high numbers of oxphil cells in her body, a telltale sign of certain diseases such as parasitic infections or blood disorders. Apparently, swallowing the live frogs damaged the patient's digestive system and allowed parasites to enter it. Don't eat live frogs. I didn't think I'd ever have to say that, but just don't. Yeah. Now, adding that the patient had then become infected with a tapeworm, a parasite commonly found in people who eat or come in contact with live frogs and snakes. After spending 2 weeks in the hospital, she did make a full recovery and was discharged, but doctors wanted to use her case as a cautionary tale about the risk of folk remedies. In addition to swallowing frogs, people may also eat snake gall, raw fish gall, or cover their body in frog skin. Most of them are elderly and rarely discuss their health with their children or grandchildren and are only going to the hospital when they're seriously ill. So, probably just don't eat frogs. I don't know who needs to hear this, but if your back hurts, take not a frog. I mean, I thought maybe they were going to be the fun frogs from like the rainforest. If you licked them, then, you'd have a fun time. But no, I guess they were just regular frogs. What happens if you eat a toad instead of a frog? Does your back pain come back 3 times? I feel like there should be a set out, like, coordinated effort to figure out. Don't eat frogs, I think, is just going to be my final go through. Now for the story time, like, portion of this, after I've squirreled out, the one that I actually meant to tell you guys this morning. So I took my youngest daughter because it's, close to that time. She managed to come out real early and decided to join the world. So I was taking her out for her birthday and she's like, Mom, I made up a word. And it was as if the heavens had parted and the torch of Moisms has been passed. And I said, oh, what did you make up? And she's like, well, there's this guy I like and he plays the trombone. So I've been calling him a tromboner. And I was laughing so hard because I was like, why didn't 13-year-old me think of a tromboner? Because that's like the funniest thing I've ever heard of. And I was just like, oh my God, a mini Mo has been born. Moisms, the legacy. She's like, yeah, I make up a lot of funny words. And I'm over here like, you probably shouldn't say that at school, but laughing too hard to participate in any really mindful parenting. But she's like, yeah, all my friends thinks it's hilarious. I was like, well, as long as he thinks it's okay and he doesn't think you're making fun of him. And she was like, no, he thought it was hilarious. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And she's like, and first of all, we're not even dating. I just think he's okay. He's not dumb like other boys. And I was like, oh, my little girl is liking boys. And she made up a new word that I'm... That being said, yeah. Well, I've loosened the reins a little bit more than, the young feral boys, so they can kind of, but this is the first time she's kind of made like maybe more PG-13 or, rated R kind of comments. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I have created a little Mo. This is amazing. The world is not ready for this. That's what I was like. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Yeah, now you'll never be able to watch a trombone again because I was like, oh my gosh, you realize that if you guys get together and I go watch him, I'll never be able to think. I'm never going to watch marching bands again. True. That being said, it just tickled me and it was so nice to watch her, but good Lord, can young girls spend time at the mall? I haven't realized how much I've become the man that just goes into the mall. I have like 2 stores I want to go in. I know exactly where, my stuff is. I don't want to people. I don't pay attention to the guys that are like, oh, you want to straighten your hair or buff your nails? No, we don't look at those people. We go directly in and we get what we need and we come back out. Watching them wander, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of walking, but we had fun. But I was just like, oh my goodness, are you guys ready to eat lunch yet? Like we've been shopping for 2 hours. But it was actually really fun, and I hope you guys have a great day. I will be on with Megan, I think at 10:30. I am sending you over to, I think Baker is live right now, but let me double check that. See who I can send you over to. Because I don't think anyone's starting particularly early today. Well, it looks like Recovery Attic is on, so I will send you there. I am going to go check on Mr. Mo and apologize again that I mixed up Prime days because, Well, I couldn't find Megan. Why is this being... YouTube is a-hole. Have I mentioned that here lately? Because it really is. Now it's coming. All right. I will be over there in just a second. I'm sending you over there. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And thanks for hanging out with me this morning. Remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire. But also be ready to apologize if you mix up Prime days, because we're all human. And, just say sorry and we'll catch the next Prime day later. Bye, you guys.